Facilities that make this program possible are provided by the City of Highland Park. Programs are produced independently by members of the community. The City of Highland Park is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of the City of Highland Park.
I'm Pam Chill. I'm one of the Highland Park senior producers, and today's program is entitled If You Love Me, Don't Leave Me, and it's the plight of the homeless and abandoned cats. And I welcome to my program Kay Larson.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And Linda Peterson.
Thank you.
And you are the president
Yes.
of Fat Cat Rescue, and you were on the advisory board of Fat Cat Rescue. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about Lake County, which as we hear, we know we're all in Lake County, the program, and how they treat and interact with people such as you as far as doing homeless, abandoned cats and cat rescue. And if you can walk me a little bit about the process of what happens, as far as, are the cats relinquished? We'll talk about colonies a little bit later on. So would you like to start?
Well, the problem is,
Yes.
is a lot of people aren't relinquishing their cats. They're not even seeking shelter for their cats. They just turn them loose. That's why it's, if you love us, don't leave us. Because if you turn them loose, what they do is seek shelter with other cats that live outside and abandoned. And people, it becomes a problem. And then people just decided they hated all these cats and trying to figure out ways to destroy colonies or cats outside. So if the people didn't, the cats aren't the problem, the people are the problem. Because if you own an animal, you should never, ever turn it loose and think it's going to be fine or somebody else, it becomes somebody else's problem. Mm-hmm. And so I started out as a trapper, and for a trap, neuter, and return program. I had no clue there were so many cats outside and so many house cats outside. It's like unbelievable. And it's really heartbreaking. And we only have so many family and friends as we were trapping to give cats to once we found out. Mm-hmm. There was front paw declaw, forepaw declaws trying to live outside. And
they can't fend for themselves.
They cannot fend for themselves.
Absolutely.
They can't get away from anything. They can't climb a tree. So now you have all these cats, and they do become a problem to some people.
Uh-huh.
And if people would stop dumping or relinquishing them or leaving them in abandoned apartments, and then we come in a week later and the cat's been there, and the cat has not eaten or had anything to drink, so now we're rushing them to the vets to try to save their lives.
That's so sad.
How do you think they're going to get food if you just walk out of an apartment being evicted or moving on because the job didn't work out for you and shut the door, even on the Great Lakes Naval Base?
That's so irresponsible. But aren't there, because I was reading it and I downloaded some information that Illinois has very strict laws on, I don't know if they're misdemeanors or felonies, but is abandonment considered a cruelty to an animal?
Yeah.
Yes, but trying to do anything about it
It's not going to
whole
happen.
Other subject. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not enforcing it. If you're not enforcing a law, the law doesn't apply. I mean, I would think that the military, of all people, should never leave an animal on the base. And we've gone over there numerous times to pick up their animals, and they have a policy, no man left behind. Well, how about their animals?
Now, do they allow pets on the base?
Yes.
I mean, oh, they do. That's very nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, so they can have pets, and a lot of them take them with them, but the few that get left behind in the houses over there are just outside. We're just outside of Great Lakes Naval Base, and I had no clue. We just started having animals. Like, you could literally walk to the gates of the housing projects where I live, of Great Lakes, and there was all these cats and kittens, and I'm like, where are they coming from? I had no clue. And then I found a trap, neuter, and return program. And then I met Linda Peterson, who I swear she's taught me everything about trapping. She
Let's
has.
talk a little bit about, I know we discussed it, prior to the program. How do you trap a cat? I mean, to put it into the program. I mean, do you contact somebody like yourselves, or is it something that somebody would do on their own?
Well, that's a very good question because Fat Cat Rescue is actually moving to a different location. And I've already had some calls from some people that direction, and they want to know what to do because they have stray cats or what they deem feral cats, on their property or somewhere close to them. And so calling the Spay and Stay program, which is our county program, they will walk you through what you need to do. But first it needs to be decided as whether or not you'll be a caretaker. So once the cats are trapped and fixed, can they come back and you will care for them? In the situation I had the other day, the woman was very happy to do that. So she's going to trap them, and then she's going to set up a shelter and whatnot, a feeding program, and she'll care for them. If not, then that's where Fat Cat might get a call saying that someone is going to be calling, and Kay would make the arrangements to go out there and trap them. And then there's the decision, are they friendly? Can they be adopted? Are they very feral and need to be rehomed in a situation, in a barn or something? If they're from North Chicago, you usually put them right back where they were, right? And she feeds hundreds of cats every day in North Chicago. So there's a lot of variables.
If we get a call, and there may be, just so happened, a doctor called us and he wanted feral cats. He wanted a colony. And we just so happened to have a 15-cat colony that he said, I'll take all 15. He had like 200 or 300 acres. He had barns.
That is very nice.
So we trapped everybody. We took them and had them all vetted. And then they go into these like dog cages so they can be rehomed there. Because if not, they'll try to get back to where they came from. And some of them will make it. And some of them won't make it. They will be killed by coyotes or the traffic. And so this doctor, him and his wife, have chickens and all kinds of stuff on the farm, but it's a big one, and they wanted this colony. And just so happened we had a colony that was I wouldn't want to live there myself, and if I was a cat, I definitely wouldn't want to live there because dogs run loose or people run loose or they're drinking or whatever, and they're out in the streets, and it's just kind of a roughneck area in North Chicago that we were happy to move this whole colony, and they were happy to take them. So we find people that may say, I want 5 cats. I want friendly colony cats. I don't want friendly colony cats. I want them to be feral. Riding stables take them because it protects their track, their
mice
tack rooms.
Probably, right.
Yeah, so
Tell Pam a little bit more about rehoming, how you rehome.
if we take a cat and we want him to move from one area to the next, he has to be put into a large dog crate. And you may be able to put 2 of them in there together if they're young, or 3 if they're really young. But they're at a point where they're too old to turn into house cats. They have that feral in them. So they stay in those cages for 30 to 40 days. And now in the meantime, we're feeding them and cleaning and watering them, but you're shutting the door and you're going fast. And what ends up happening is, after the 30 to 40 days, we open that cage. They've all been vetted and put in that cage, and we open the cage up, and they can decide when they're ready to come out. And they may become frightened, so they come out and they jump back into their cage. That's their safe place. So we rehome them like that. So that's what we do on farms and in stables, and even at Fat Cat Rescue, the cats are allowed to be let out. I don't want you'll kill them if you just treat them like you stay in this cage or you stay like this. They have to be what they are, and if they're feral, that's what you have to treat them like. They're feral cats. You love them at their terms.
At their terms and their distance.
Yeah. I don't want to be petted. I don't want, that's what saved their lives. So the best thing to do for a feral is don't try to make them friendly unless you're going to care for him for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know,
Don't
or
put
the-
him back out onto the streets and
pat
Yeah.
him so people can pick him up and harm
And
him.
hurt them.
right, absolutely. Now, what do you think of people who still have the mentality that they have to have an outdoor, indoor cat? You know, they let them out and then, you know, we don't know. It's like letting almost like a 2-year-old child out because you have so many variables. I mean, you have traffic, you have people who can do harm, they could fall into something. We don't know. I mean,
Right.
we don't know what can happen to that cat. They may never see them again.
And that's what you have to see, and you have to
Right.
think
I
about
mean, how
that.
do we change people's view of that? They
Well,
have
I
to
don't
be
know
let
that I
out?
would, because I know a lot of people, myself being one, that if I took on the responsibility of a cat and he had to go outside some part of the day, rather than tearing the house apart or not using his litter box, I would let him go out. Yes, indeed, something might happen, but you can't have an animal like that in the house and not let it out. I know a lot of people who do this and they care for them very, very well. But this
It's a different type of
It's
cat.
it's a
It's a
right.
different type of cat, right?
Yeah, if the cat comes in and is comfortable and wants to be in and acclimates to a beautiful house cat, that's a beautiful thing. But, and that's just my own personal view, and it's,
But as a kitten, do you think that well, they don't have to? I mean, they could be trained. I've had cats.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
And that you never have to let them out.
Never,
right?
Absolutely.
And in fact, they would be bewildered. I mean, they would just be so scared.
Right, out of
you
their
know,
mind.
Out of
they
their
wouldn't,
mind.
they
right.
wouldn't survive. But one that
Yeah.
you've gotten off the street that has been outside,
They
or
know
maybe
the-
born outside.
They know the other life.
They
They,
do.
they know what's out
do.
there.
And they'll
right.
seek it,
And
whether it's to
yes.
tear your screen out to get out, in and out of the house, or to dart
well,
as soon as that door
I
opens.
see we're being joined. Yes, if you can tell a little bit about this is Trevor. And
No, it's,
Trevor was just on right now. Yeah.
oh, I didn't see, Trevor.
And you can see that he went through a trap, neuter, and return program.
Right. Well, tell a
But
little bit about him.
Any cat that has been through the trap, neuter, and return program, you'll see his ear. The left ear is clipped so that he's not ever retrapped. And sometimes you have to look really close because their hair starts to grow back. And so we won't retrap them. Sometimes we trap them. And like this little girl, it was definitely a house cat all her life. And somebody had thrown her away in the junkyard. This couldn't be a kinder, sweeter little cat. And she's not a kitten.
Hi, sweetie.
She's almost grown up.
Oh, but she's so pretty.
But as you see, her ear wasn't clipped.
Uh-huh.
So she'll be happy as a lark in a house forever and not want to go outside. She doesn't want to go outside.
She has the fear of the outside.
The fear,
Right,
exactly.
embedded in her. Yeah. So tell me a little bit going forward about what happens to the cats in the program that are feral cats. If you don't adopt them, what happens? I mean, if somebody doesn't take them into their shelter.
Well, we have cats that are in colonies that we care for. She cares for colony cats, and we have colony cat caregivers. And there's colonies all over Lake County and all over the United States. And some municipalities say, no, you can't feed them. I feel if you can feed a bird, you can feed a cat. Because that cat didn't ask to be born outside. It was due to the fact someone let their house cat out, let Fluffy out, and Fluffy made babies, and maybe their babies made babies, and now you have a feral cat colony. But to say that we shouldn't care for them because...
That's inhumane.
Exactly.
That's absolutely inhumane.
They said we could trap them. Like some cities, you can trap them, but you can't feed them.
So how are they going to survive?
Thank you. Then they're going to become a nuisance. If nobody cares for them, they become a nuisance because they're going to seek out food and stuff. So if they allow the colonies to be cared for, and some people get mad at us for caring for them and yell at us, and I say, well, yell at your neighbors. They're the ones that let these cats out.
So can we do something with legislation? I mean, who do we contact? How do we change this?
Well, Alley-Cat Allies, where a lot of this all began, does a lot of this. I thought I turned my phone off. I'm so sorry. I thought I turned it off. They do a lot of legislation, and we follow a lot of their guidelines, and we are very supportive of that. So I think that just following LA Cat Allies and supporting them and that would,
Are they nationwide?
yes.
oh,
They have some TNR programs, trap, neuter, return programs, all over the world. That's where I said that it's universal to have that ear tip. It is
Right.
really
I
basically
did
all
not
over the
know
world
that.
now. And in fact, maybe you want to tell Pam about Disneyland, because that's kind of an interesting, Disneyland had a lot of feral cats and they wanted to get rid of them. But
And-
instead,
They decided that they would be wonderful living on their property.
Oh.
You know, they found that they would be a friend to Disney. They didn't want to eat Mickey Mouse or his little girlfriend.
Mouse is kind of big.
Dinner for all. But it took people saying, hey, if you do this, we're going to stop coming to Disney. And if
Absolutely.
we don't stand up for these cats, then, you know, you have all these other problems that come along with it. The cat didn't come first. The person that owned that cat came first and caused this problem. So you're making the cat suffer for the owner, you know. So if you dump your cats or you dump your animals, it's like dumping your kids, you know, and just turn them loose on the world. That's not fair to the world, you know.
No, it's not.
but back to Disneyland, they actually got creative, and because I believe there's a solution to every problem.
Absolutely.
And they did TNR on these cats. And these cats exist in all their little areas in Disneyland. You could go to Disneyland and you might, I don't know if Pam wants Cece up there.
Should be all right. Come here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You might go to Disneyland and never see a cat, but they're there. They're all living in
That's wonderful.
in their little spots. They
That
come
is
out
so
mostly
nice.
at night and stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing.
That really, really is. I think people too have to be aware at life planning. I think you have a lot of. Do you not have a lot of older people who had cats and then
We were
something
talking about
happens
that.
and then they have to go to a facility or they pass?
No,
and
we
then,
talked about that on the ride here.
Yes, and they
you
have
have
to.
to.
I mean, it's like you make out a
Absolutely.
will.
Right.
You have to say who's going to take
Right.
care of my cat.
Right.
Well, we had
You know,
a
or my
situation.
dog, but now we're talking about cats.
We had a situation where the gentleman brought us a cat and said, my mother passed away. We can't keep this cat. Please, would you take it? And the cat was beautiful. Miss Kitty was absolutely to die for. And then just so happened, another woman that had adopted a cat from us worked at a nursing home. And we said, yeah, we'll take Miss Kitty. And the woman called us and said, Kay, the nursing home has decided that we should have a cat. And I said, I have the perfect cat. She was an elderly woman's cat. The elderly woman passed away. So Miss Kitty went to the nursing home, and after everyone, fully vetted, we fully vetted her and told them we'll vet her whenever you need help with her, we'll take care of it. So come to find out, Miss Kitty kept going to this one room. She kept going to that one room. She'd go in there and she'd sit on the couch and she'd jump on that bed. And come to find out, the woman in that room was Miss Kitty's. I'm going to cry.
Our owner.
She hadn't died.
Oh.
They put her in a nursing home.
And, oh my.
Where she is now.
So she's with Miss Kitty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a happy ending.
It is
That's
a
what
happy-
Cece has joined us. And so this is Cece's story. You said was in the junkyard. She is adoptable. She's a really cute little gal.
She's a
very
grown-up.
friendly. Oh,
A tiny little
yeah,
grown-up.
tiny little grown-up. So, and going back to cats, let's discuss a little bit about behavioral problems. Do you think a lot of people relinquish cats because of, well, I think they say, I was looking it up online, that they say that they're allergic, or, and I'm sure that a lot of people are allergic, or they say that they're moving, but a lot of times it's behavior problems that actually they hide from the people they're relinquishing to because they want that cat to be adoptable. And then they, in turn, somebody takes that cat and then they have the same, instead of curing or treating the problem, they're just not addressing it. They're passing it on and they don't know about it. So it's like a catch-22 for, the cat. It's not getting the home that it should, and it's not getting corrective behavior. So what do you suggest for somebody, with cats? Obviously, some of them are going to have behavioral problems. how can that be addressed that people can keep them or to a new family?
Well, sometimes when they have say a spraying problem or a marking
Yes.
problem, it's because they haven't fixed the cat and they waited too long to neuter him.
So what?
Neuter him younger.
But if you have like a cat that's a full-grown
Already-
cat, like
already.
8, 9, 10, what happens then?
Well, then you have a little bit of a problem, and what we do with it is
Well, first rule out a health issue.
Health issue,
Make
okay.
sure you get to the vet and, a bladder infection or something that's a health issue, yes.
and sometimes it has to do with the litter. They may not like the litter that you're using, or they may have declawed the cat, and when the cat steps into that litter box, it hurts their little paws to dig, because they want to dig and cover up their little works of art. So, they now that you have to use a softer litter. You might have to use a different litter, and like Linda had said, rule out the health issue. Take it to the vet if it has a urinary tract infection, and it does cause a lot of the problems. And a lot of people think they don't want to fix their cats, but I think it's the best thing for them.
Now, so do you think if you neuter that cat, that behavior might change?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what if we have like a lot of aggressive behavior? How can that be?
Well, Jackson Galaxy has. I have a
Oh, yes.
I have a kitty that he runs the roost there, and
The cats from H-E double toothpicks, we call
Right,
it.
right.
well, he has a product called Bully.
Bully, okay.
And you can put it in their water, or if you can hold the cat, you can put it in their mouth. And it does help. My boy Kitty stopped chasing the girls. He runs the roost and he chases the girls. And I started putting it in his water, and it just keeps him calm. I mean, he's not lethargic, but he's a little calmer, so he doesn't want to be mean to them. But what happened is he had snuck out of the house because he had seen the feral cats outside, and one of them, him and the feral cat were fighting, so now he thinks he's gonna run everything in the house. So, but the Jackson Galaxy Bully.
That's very interesting. Now, do you think there is such a thing as like the alpha male, who wants to control everything, like the president, the non-elected president of the cat colony?
Well, sometimes it's just an energy thing. So if you took a bunch of cardboard boxes, you took
And how do they get to that position? I mean, where they're just, running everything. They probably designate who gets the food, and how does,
I think a lot of that is an energy thing. I do. You've got too much energy, so you are going to, that's why I'm saying you just set up just stuff all over your house to play with and stuff. You've got it.
Burn the energy off.
That or again, if you don't know the situation where the cat came from and it needs to go outside. I know that.
Or else, what if they do go outside and you go outside with a harness? You train them to go in
Yes,
a harness.
absolutely.
So you still have a control of where they're going.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you think of cat strollers?
We build catios.
Oh, okay.
Catios,
So
love
that
them.
they can
Catios?
Yeah, so outside of the house, from the house, they can go out the window, and there's a porch, a screened-in porch for the cats, and there's cat trees, and the birds can fly by, and they can be outside, and the catio may be half the size of this room, so they can go out and feel the air, and they can see everything, and they're outside.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Catios are the thing.
the new thing
They
to
have
do.
really taken away a lot of people's problems by just having a small screened in.
Yeah,
it
it
can be
doesn't-
large, small, whatever. You just take a.
And they don't try to get the screen out?
They can't. It's a different type of screen.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like a
Usually
chicken
they're so
coop.
content that they don't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're happy that it's the air. Not only that, it's healthy for them. When you shut your doors in your house and you're running the central air, and they want to smell things and do things that they're used to.
That's interesting. So how do you think that we can change what's happening so there aren't as many feral cats?
Stop putting your cats, stop leaving your cats, stop. When you move, make arrangements for those cats to have another home. If you call Fat Cat Rescue and we're full, we'll give you a list of other people to call. And at the end of that list, I'll tell you, call these people and then call me back if you cannot find a place for this cat. Because I don't want the cat outside. I don't want to pick him up off the street dead, or I don't want to spend, whatever to get his leg amputated because he was hit by a car. bad things happen to house cats outside unless they group up with a feral or call, make arrangements. Don't just assume there are cats, he'll be all right. It's not so. He doesn't know anything about being outside. It's like me sending you out into the woods and you don't know how to hunt, fish, or do for yourself. You would eventually
Right.
stop.
I mean, you're used to having, your plate of water and your bowls and your little treats and your little,
Right.
cat nap place and
now
that's
you're in
your
this big,
house.
scary world, and people see these cats, and we have this feral cat outside, and he's not feral at all. He's Mrs. Brown's cat. Mrs. Brown passed away. The family didn't want to deal with it.
And why do you
Or-
think that is, that a lot of families are doing that?
We're a disposable nation. Everything's disposable.
Everything's disposable.
And it's sad.
Right.
Because it isn't. But that's the way we throw everything away. We just
But
throw
it goes
away.
back to that you have to have, the planning. Like you plan your estate, you plan on what's
Well, I
going to
think
happen.
if you respect people, you respect your animals too, because the lack of respect here is unbelievable. So if you just don't respect anything, life. I mean, it's still a life. It may not be a human life, but it's a life.
Absolutely.
And like Linda was saying on our ride here, if you loved your parents, why wouldn't you love their pet?
Well, and that's so terrible that they would do that.
To say that the mom died to get rid of the cat,
Right.
and then she's not.
And then that cat found that lady. She found her.
I mean, we actually entered that story in a contest. We didn't win that one, but it. That's a book.
Yes, and a lot of people think that, I'm giving it to, a certain relative, and, that cat will be cared for the rest of its life, and
It didn't happen.
it's not the case.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They don't care, and be careful who you give your cat to. I'll take care of your cat, and really make sure make sure who you're leaving your animals with, that they're going to love them as much as you did.
Right, and to keep tabs on it too. Like if something
Absolutely.
happens, if you can't care for that animal, then don't give it to a shelter. Don't let it out.
Right.
Give it back to that person. See, my philosophy, and I've been a pet owner, since I was a child, is that you take an animal, you take a pet into your home, you make a commitment for life.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's it. There are good times and bad times, but that's your child, and
Absolutely.
and you care for them.
But people don't look at it like that. They're fuzzy and they're happy and everything's good. Then the kids grow up and they go off to college, and that's a lot of work to scoop a box.
Yeah,
But
and-
you've been doing it.
And I also know of a lot of people that I've had friends of their daughters all got married, had babies, had children, and the husband would say, I don't want the cat in the house.
Absolutely.
And then the cat's getting a little too close to the baby, but of course, they're going to have to adapt and adjust, and they may have to be watched for a period of time, but everything is an adjustment period. But that seemed to be a common denominator, that they were giving the cats up for that reason. And
There's unbelievable reasons.
Well, we've heard them all. Yes, we've heard them all. We've heard them all. They got the place painted in new furniture, and the cat or the whatever doesn't go with the decor. That's one of the doozies.
He doesn't match the house.
your cat doesn't match the house?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Absolutely. Louis.
Yeah,
The little Louis.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Maine
it's so
Coon.
sad. Well, I want to thank you both
Thank
for
you for
carrying on
having
our
us.
program. And I want to thank, where do they go? We have Trevor and we have Cece.
Cece's laying behind
And
you.
so how many cats are adoptable at this point that you...
Well, they're all adoptable. It's just
Mm-hmm.
what your intentions are. They might be adoptable for your barn. They might be adoptable for your home. They're all wonderful cats. It's what type of cat you're looking for
Mm-hmm.
in your life. Some people don't want a house cat, but they want a feral cat, and it takes care of the mice and different problems you may have. The little groundhogs in your yard, it's what you need. It depends on what you're looking for.
Lots of cats.
Lots of cats.
Lots.
Okay. I just want to wrap it up, and then again, thank you both for
Thank
carrying
you.
on the program. And Trevor, and we have Cece, and please contact if you need a beautiful, loving cat. Okay? Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And I did want to talk about, too, is that we didn't have time to discuss it, but tax credits, if there's any way that, you know, people on, like on income tax can say, I want my money to go to all no-kill shelters, you know,
Absolutely.
and to have, if all the laws change.